what we want to talk about today is, how many of you guys have all heard about solar electricity, right? Raise your hand. Yep. Have a seat, sir. So if you're familiar with solar electricity, there's other forms of solar energy too. So what we're going to talk about are what your solar options are here with DMEA and in our service territory. So here's a question to start things off. You guys didn't know when I made you sit down there's going to be a quiz, did you? So if I ask you, generally speaking, what is the most cost-effective solar technology of those three listed there, which ones would you pick? What do you pick? Solar thermal. I hear solar thermal. Passive solar. Number one, solar electricity. Anybody else? If DMEA is here, what would it be, right? But don't let me mislead you. Don't let me mislead you. What do you think? Electricity? I'm kind of skewing the results now. It's not fair. Pardon? It is what it's called. So this is all about misleading you right now. This gentleman's correct. It's passive solar, generally speaking. So why might that be? Look at all the ways you can have passive solar. You can have just a house and its design, right? That's probably the thing that's going to save you the most money. This is a solar shower. If you've ever been out camping, you put them out in the sun, fill them with water. It's passive. You don't do anything. And, of course, the clothesline. How many people still use a clothesline? Me too. He hangs it up all the time. So why is it? It's kind of obvious when we start to think about it. Why is it that that's generally the most cost-effective? Because the clothesline costs $1, $2. The solar shower, I don't know, $10, $20. And they don't have any energy costs associated with running them. Now, the solar design for your house, that might be a little less intuitive, but if you're building a new house, for example, to begin with, if you just put the right amount of windows and thermal mass in that house, you can save as much as 40% on your heating. If you get a little more serious about the solar design of that, you can save 60 to 80% on your heating costs. And what's the most expensive part of our utility bills on an annual basis? It's heating. So now that I've gotten that clear, we're going to talk about solar electricity anyway. It is, in fact, one of the most expensive upfront costs that there is if you want to develop something that uses solar technology. But at DMEA, one of the ways we give you the option of putting solar electricity to use is through net metering. Do you guys know what net metering is? Raise your hand if you know. All that says is if you have a device that can produce electricity, in our case it's got to be a renewable energy device, and it can produce more electricity than you can consume on site, it spins the meter backwards. And by spinning that meter backwards, you get credits against your electric bill. So whatever you pay for electricity, you get that same value in credits for what you've produced and put out on the grid. So net metering is important. Those credits are available when you can't produce the electricity. You can then use them at your house. If you install solar electricity on your home, DMEA provides you a rebate of $1.25 per watt. That's in cooperation with the Governor's Energy Office that also throws in $1.25 per watt for a maximum of $7,500. Okay? Last year it was a little more. It's going down in price and rebates. Why might that be? Because actually the installed cost is coming down slightly too. So with that in mind, the state and DMEA have teamed up to try and make it more feasible for you to be able to install the technology on your house. The next slide, this is the one I'm most excited about. This is a program that DMEA started actually just this week. How many people have heard about our local power partnership? Anybody? Okay, how about the community solar array? Have you heard us talking about that? How many people would like to have solar electricity available to them? What's the biggest obstacle? It's the price, right? That upfront price, actually, because once it's installed, it's a great bargain, right? Because what's it cost you to produce electricity once it's installed? Zero. That's why we all get fascinated, I think all of us do, about solar electricity. You install this device, no moving parts, and you've got electricity at your house. I happen to live off-grid. I live with only solar electricity. It still fascinates me every day. Maybe I'm easily amused, I don't know. But here's the idea, here's the concept. We've installed to begin with 20 kilowatts of photovoltaics. That's solar electricity. For as little as $10 or more, depending on what you'd like, you can lease a portion of that array. That one-time payment, it provides you benefits for the next 25 years. Those benefits are based on the electricity that the arrays produce and the percentage that you've leased. So you don't have an installed cost at your house. Your upfront cost is whatever your budget can be. Now, it's the same amount of electricity that would be produced by a site-installed system, but DMEA owns it, we maintain it, we take care of it. The reason we say 25 years is because that's the power output warranty of the panels. Okay? So if for as little as $10, your benefit admittedly is somewhat low. It's 50 cents a year in electricity. But what's a site-installed system cost? Around $5,500 to $6,500 per kilowatt. This is $3.75 a watt, basically at a leased cost. If something goes wrong with your system at home, you're going to have to do something about it. Hopefully it's under warranty. You might have a good installation company like Alternative Power next door. They'll take care of it. In this case, we take care of it. If you're outside of the warranty period and something goes wrong on your site-installed system, now it's shelling out the money to get it fixed. Here, we take care of it. Your lease payment's one time. You can actually sign up for it. Do we have a laptop here still set up? If you want, you can get details. I'll talk about it after the presentation, and you can sign up for it now. It's all through our website, or you can do it from your house, whatever. It's not high pressure by any means. It's just whatever you want to do. It's just giving you an option to have access to solar electricity that is perhaps more within your budget. The benefits are about the same as if you install it on site in terms of the electricity produced. Okay. This gentleman, if I remember correctly, thought solar thermal might be one of the most cost-effective technologies, and it actually is a very cost-effective technology. If you look at upfront cost and energy produced, solar thermal is generally cheaper than solar electricity. So, for example, if you had an electric water heater and you replace that with solar water heating, you can save, it depends on the individual, you can save in a household anywhere from $150 to $300, $350 a year in water heating costs. Still though, you've got an active system, so you've got some fairly expensive stuff. Now, because early on at DMEA, I did participate in the rebate programs with the state for solar water heating. The trouble is, what we discovered was we don't have a great deal of members at DMEA's territory that use electricity to heat water. And so I couldn't give you a rebate if you used propane or natural gas because I'm the electric company. The good news though, however, is there are rebates through the Governor's Energy Office. Up to $3,000 on the installed cost, and it's based on the amount of hot water that the system would produce. We support it, we give you all the information we can, but because we had so few people that were using electricity to begin with, we're just now encouraging you to do it. But honestly, it's a wonderful technology. I'd encourage you to look at that, as well as solar electricity, but do the passive solar stuff first, okay? So, there's another thing you can do with solar thermal, and this is a lot more complicated. If you look at the picture down here on the bottom, that's the mechanical room for a hydronic heating system that incorporated solar as one of its heating sources. It gets a lot more complicated. If we go back, this is the mechanical room for just water heating for domestic use. Pretty simple, a water heater and a storage tank. If we look forward, you've got a bit more. I used to be a plumber before I went to college. I still wouldn't want to plumb that in. It's just a big deal. Nevertheless, what's the biggest single expense you have on your annual utility costs in this area? Heating your home. This is a way to heat your home with solar energy that doesn't require, well, typically you're going to have a backup system. You might get anywhere from 50% to 70% of your heating costs, depending on the size system you put in. It's more expensive. The rebates from the state, in this case, do not apply. Okay? But it is a technology that you can use. That's about all I have. I want to reiterate the local power partnership program that we have. It's the community solar array that we've started with. We're looking at developing some other resources to go with it. But if you've looked at doing solar electricity at your home or your business, and you thought it's just too expensive up front, this might be a program that you'd like to take advantage of. The other part of it that I'll leave you with this thought, if it costs you, let's say, $100 and you say, that's all I can afford right now. I want that much of the array. Then a couple months later or next month, you know what? I got another $10 or $20. you can continue to sign up for additional amounts if you choose to. So it's a way to get access to a lot of solar electricity, a little money at a time. Okay?